What up, y'all? It's the Real Ball Watcher. Grab your binoculars, and I'm back with another video. Aggie Pride, you know the vibe. We gonna hop into Cooper DeJean today, and all I can say, that white boy nice. Let's go ahead and get into it. All right, Cooper DeJean, let's look at his stats. He's 6'1", 207 pounds, 20 years old. He's a junior. I want to say a true junior. 2021 true freshman season, I should say. I almost said redshirt. 4 tackles, 4 total tackles, 3 solos, 1 assist, and 0 pass deflections, 0 interceptions. Cool, barely got it. 2022, breakout year. 75 total tackles, 59 solos, 16 assists, 8 pass deflections with 5 interceptions. I will say he was also returning punts. I want to say he ran 1 punt back, or maybe that was the next year, but he also returned punt, y'all. So he got a little juice in him. 2023, this past year, he dealt with a little bit of injury, so he missed a couple games, but 41 total tackles, 26 solos, 15 assists, and 5 pass deflections with 2 interceptions. And like I said, he was also returning punts, so kind of a big play waiting to happen. But let's go ahead and get into the all-22 and not waste no more time. Let's get at it. Now, the strengths for that boy, Cooper DeJean, he's good playing off and press coverage. Most of the time, when I first turned on the film, it was against Ohio State last year, CJ Stroud, all them. Strictly was playing off coverage most of the time, maybe 10 snaps in press. So I thought maybe that's just how Iowa ran it, and maybe that's just what he was good at. And that's why people say that he could play safety at the next level, or will play for some people. But looking at other games, I want to say Penn State, a couple other games, he was actually playing press a lot in those games, especially in Penn State. So he's good in off coverage and press. Also, he has great technique. He's a technician, honestly, when it comes to getting into his back pedal, getting into the hip of the receiver, keeping his eyes disciplined, which is another point we'll get to later on. He's a really great technician when it comes to covering and being a overall DB, not just a corner, but even from off coverage if you were to play safety later on. Next best thing I could say, or maybe not the next best thing, but the next thing I noticed is he's comfortable guarding downfield. You look at his color, and you think maybe he's not that fast. Maybe that's why they play him off so much. He's going to be a little bit frantic or panicking downfield whenever he's playing a big receiver like Marvin Harrison Jr. He's not. He's comfortable downfield. He's comfortable running with guys in press or in off coverage. He's comfortable making plays on the ball. And pretty good player downfield. Pretty good cornerback, basically. Next thing I noticed, he's shown good mirroring ability, especially in that Penn State game when he was playing a lot of press. He's really good at mirroring guys, chopping his feet, flipping his hips, things like that, getting lateral. He's really good at mirroring. That's really good for a man cover corner, which he's shown the ability that he can play man. He's not just strictly his own guy. Also, he has really good recovery and route squeeze. A thing you want to see with corners is, yeah, you could be step for step with a receiver, but you don't want to give them almost like COVID, almost like you giving them 6 feet. You don't want to do that. You want to squeeze that route as much as possible, especially if you're on the sideline. You want to squeeze them towards the sideline and use that out of bounds stripe as almost like a second defender, so kind of double team them with the out of bounds. But even coming across the middle, things like that, you want to squeeze that route so you'll be able to make a play on the ball. And I'll say good recovery speed, because let's say he is doing that, COVID keeps 6 feet. He has shown the ability to kind of close in that gap whenever the ball is getting there. Not a whole bunch of times, not super flashy, not a lot of flashes with that, because maybe he's just such a good technician, such good route squeezing the other time that he's not that far off or getting beat. But the 2, 3, 4 routes that I did see like that, he had good recovery speed. The next thing, good eye discipline. I mentioned this earlier. He's really good. We talked about with the receivers when you're playing into the blind spot of a DB and how that can get guys tripped up and you can go blow by him. Basically, we talked about it with Troy Franklin, A.D. Mitchell, Lab McConkey, a couple other guys. But he has really good eye discipline where he's playing with his back to the receiver the whole time, eyes strictly on the quarterback from not necessarily press alignment, maybe 2, 3, 4 yards off, and also from when he's playing deep, 10, 15 off. He has good eye discipline where he's watching the quarterback the whole time, keeping the receiver in his blind spot. They're doing stop and goes, all type of cuts and things like that to kind of throw him off his game. Good eye discipline. He plays that the whole time. And he even got an interception off that, which I'll show, where he was just eyes on the quarterback the whole time. They did a stop and go. He looked at the quarterback, tracked the ball when the receiver couldn't. Easy interception, get his team the ball back. So really good eye discipline. The next thing I want to talk about is kind of a plus for him when he's a safety. Also, good eye discipline, works at corner and safety. But a plus for him if he were to move to safety is he triggers well and he's really good at IDing route concepts. Let's do 2 for 1. He triggers well on route concepts, and he IDs them really good, or identifies them really good. He knows what concepts and what combos go with each other, so he can snap down, break on the ball if he needs to. He can make a big hit if he needs to, make a quick tackle while the guy is catching the ball, maybe jar it loose. That's really, really good. That shows a really high IQ player, and a safety that you would really want to see, or a safety that you really want is a guy who can ID route concepts and is quick to trigger on those things if he knows what he's seeing. And you want a guy that knows what he's seeing. Shout out to Xavier Woods, Von Bell, guys like that. Last thing that I have is he returned punts for big touchdowns and returned long interception for touchdowns. So he's a big play threat. If he gets the ball in his hand, he will pick the ball off and he will take it back on you if you let him. But that's all I got for that white boy Rick part 2. But I ain't gonna lie, I kind of like what I seen from Cooper DeJean. So let's get into the stuff that's not really his game. Cool, we gotta talk about it. So he's really, really hesitant in the run game, and he kind of waits to catch his tackles. Let me not say really, really hesitant. He has shown hesitancy in the run game and waits to catch his tackles. Even if it's a running back, wide receiver, screen, tight end, even quarterbacks, he's shown that hesitancy and kind of not getting off the block or not shooting the gap that he has, or just coming downhill, and that will affect him as a safety. As your safety, you want a guy, like I said, who triggers on the routes. He can identify the run, and he can also be the last line of defense. But somebody like Jerwin James, Jamal Adams, he was really, really good, Javon Holland, those guys can run that alley and go make a hit and make sure you stop them before they get to the first down if need be, or if you really want them to, because that's a big play safety. So that'll help hurt him. If he moves to safety, you have to get him quicker trigger on run game and want to make him be more aggressive in the run game. And that's the next thing that I want to point out is he needs to improve his tackling technique and his aggressiveness. Shout out to my boy Derek. Cooper DeJean sometimes could be an ankle biter. He's really trying to grab you by your shoelaces. He doesn't really want to, come down and get low and put his shoulder in you and drive through it. A lot of times he's kind of, when he comes to the, let's say the motion receiver over is just a tight end and he does identify as a run and trigger off, or if it's a blitz, he's going for your low legs. He's trying to wrap you up, which is fine, but he does need to be more aggressive and improve his tackling technique at the next level if he's going to move to safety, especially. Corner, you can kind of get away with it a little bit more, but especially if you're going to be a safety, you're going to have to improve on that. Next thing that I really seen, by the way, it's not too many things that I seen that I didn't like or that wasn't in his game. The next thing I see is why he's always in off coverage versus certain teams. Like I said, Ohio State, he was off the whole time. I want to see his testing numbers. I want to see how fast he is. I want to see how mobile he is side to side, how quick twitch he is, which he didn't really show too much twitchiness on film. And that'll kind of determine whether he stays at corner or he moves to safety, or kind of like the Kyle Hamilton role his rookie year, plays nickel, safety, that dime backer type of thing. Well, maybe not even dime backer, because he kind of struggles triggering on the run and his tackling technique. But it'll decide, his testing numbers will decide where he plays at the next level, in my opinion. Next thing I want to say is, and before I say this, don't take this as he's not a good player if he doesn't have this. He can't be it if he doesn't have this, because a lot of people had this knock on Christian Gonzalez, and I didn't care because Christian Gonzalez was my quarterback one last year. But does he have the mentality / swag to be an alpha or a #1 corner on the team? A guy that's going to lock down that one side of the field. Panthers fan, look at a guy like J.C. Horn. J.C. Horn's yapping the whole game. He's getting up, celebrating, seatbelt. He's talkative, see his mouthpiece out the whole time. Or even on the opposite side, who isn't necessarily locked down or as good, but Dante Jackson, especially when he first came into the league, was a big play threat. He's yapping. And that kind of helps guys' confidence and kind of helps them play better, because as a corner, you need that confidence where if they get a big play, next play, move on to the next play. Once your confidence goes down, kind of like quarterback, once your confidence goes down, so does your play. So I do question if he's going to be able to be a #1 corner on the team, lockdown type of guy, because of that mentality. Looks like he's just a lunch pail guy, clock in, clock out, and go on about his day. But that's the thing that I have that's not really in his game. Let's move on and get into his player build right now. Let's get into everybody's favorite part of the video. We all know you waited however long this video is, 15 minutes, 12 minutes, however long, 20 minutes sometimes. We all know you waited for this. We have built a all-around technician. And what I mean by that is Cooper DeJean played all over the field in college. He played in the nickel, he played at outside corner. He necessarily didn't play at safety, but he played at the same depth that safety were that the safeties were at. It was times where it was 3 safeties lined up across, but it wasn't 3 safeties. It was 2 safeties in the corner because Cooper DeJean was that far off. So all-around technician. You can move him in the nickel, you can move him at the outside corner, you can move him at the safety in the next level. And I wanted to point out that somebody, a team that I really think is a really good fit for him, the Ravens. That's one, because they kind of like moving Kyle Hamilton around. He could be a chess piece for them also. But the team that I really like for him is the Minnesota Vikings. If they're able to bring back Kirk Cousins, then maybe they'll invest in the DBs. And with Brian Flores' system, where he likes to bring all the guys up to the line and play his corners off, play his DBs off. This is a guy who's really, really good in off coverage and really, really good with his eye discipline, keeping his eyes on the quarterback while playing a wide receiver at the same time, or even at safety, he'll do the same thing. I think he's a really, really good fit for Brian Flores in that system. But moving on to the shades of, I got Jalen Johnson. I don't know. I want to assume it's Jalen Johnson from the Chicago Bears, one of the best corners in the league this year. This is a guy that I put this at his ceiling because it's a guy that wasn't necessarily the fastest guy or the most athletic guy, and kind of tagged as a zone corner, but he's been literally shut down this year and almost kind of like the same measurables, and I want to say we'll have the same athletic profile as Cooper DeJean and some of the same strengths. Moving on to the second option, I have Logan Ryan. Logan Ryan was a corner at the beginning of his career. Later on in his career, he moved to safety, nickel. He played all over the field. Another guy who later in his career didn't have the juice to really play press, lock down, get in your face, get speed downfield. He can run with anybody. But because of his technique, because of his eye discipline, things like that, he was able to play all over the field. So I can see him being a Logan Ryan type guy. Also, I want to have a guy that was also like a nickel slash corner or a nickel slash safety. So Rayshawn Jenkins from the Jacksonville Jaguars, another guy who can play off coverage, play close to the line, play in the nickel. Sometimes I've seen him line up outside. Somebody that's all around in their technique or in their play, I should say. And that's somebody I could see Cooper DeJean being. I do think Cooper is going to be a first round corner. I think he's a first round worthy pick, not early first, I don't think, but he is a first round worthy pick if you need, or if he fits your system. Like a Brian Flores system, I would take him in the first round. If you're a corner needy team, he fits your system and fits what you want to do, or if you need a safety, somebody like the Packers need a safety, I would take him to play safety. But that's all I got for this week. We not gonna hold you too long, I don't think. I feel like this is a short video, but shout out to Cooper DeJean. We gonna get into the DBs. We got 4 more to go, and then we gonna move on. So it's the Real Ball Watcher. Put your binoculars up, like, subscribe, comment what you think. If you like the videos, which a lot of y'all have, shout out to us. Subscribe, share, do what you gotta do. So appreciate y'all. See y'all next week.